Hello everyone and welcome to this tutorial. I'm super excited to be a part of Global Power Platform Bootcamp Türkiye, and in this session I will show you how we can build autonomous AI agents in Copilot Studio. Without further ado, let's get started. So let's talk about agenda today. So first I will explain what AI agents are because I know there is a lot of confusion around that. Then briefly explaining what's Copilot Studio and what kind of agents we can build in Copilot Studio. And then I will talk about the real world use case where I build a Copilot Studio agent to basically help an insurance company. And then we will do demo and we will actually go ahead and build this together. So a little bit about myself. I'm Rafsan Huseynov. I am AI Solutions Architect and a Microsoft MVP for Copilot Studio and Microsoft 365 Copilot. So in my day-to-day job, I build different AI agent solutions using Copilot Studio, little bit Microsoft Foundry, different Azure solutions, and of course, I also deploy and extend Microsoft 365 Copilot. Besides that, I also help different customer teams, mostly admin teams, to create their own Power Platform environment strategy, to create pipelines, to teach them Purview, Defender, and so on. So I'm a huge fan of governance, security, and having a measurable ROI for our AI agents. And uh, this is what I help our customers with. If you want to connect with me, you can, of course, connect with me on LinkedIn, and you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. So let's first understand what AI agents are. So sometimes I notice that when we say AI agents, people assumes that, okay, it's just a basic chatbot interface where you can just ask a question and it will generate an answer. AI agents are more than that. So these are systems, and large language models are just one part of these systems. The other parts can be tools, can be our system instructions, can be knowledge, and these tools are also, there are a lot of tools in Copilot Studio today, example like different Power Platform connectors, MCP tools, prompt, and so on. So having all this together makes our agents very powerful. So instead of just, when the user asks a question, instead of just answering right away, it will actually first understand its own environment, reason about it, and take an action with the tools that has its own disposal. So, and one of the main AI platforms today to build these agents, of course, is Copilot, Microsoft Copilot Studio. And this is end-to-end AI platform to build our low-code, no-code AI agents. I say end-to-end because this is a SaaS solution, software as a service, and you don't have to, maintain the infrastructure. You can just easily start building your agents, and it's actually doing the scaffolding. So when you create an agent, it creates all the necessary components, and then you can extend them or add other tools. So in Copilot Studio today, you can build all kinds of agents today. But in terms of spectrum, we have first retrieval agents. This is what I typically recommend to our customers before going to advanced level agents. Start with retrieval agents to see what governance issues you have and solve them, and then go to all the way to autonomous agents, because autonomous agents take action without any user interaction. So that's very important. And retrieval agents, in this case, let's say you have IT help desk, and they receive a lot of questions, and those questions actually have answers, let's say in your frequent asked questions file. So you can feed that information to Copilot Studio Agent and publish that to, let's say, Microsoft Teams or wherever your users are, and they can have self-service support. The other one is the task, and task, this time we're extending our agent's capabilities with empowering it with the tools that we have. Let's say this can be Outlook, this can be SharePoint, etc. So the similar example here, let's say you not only get answers from the organizational frequent asked questions file. But this time, if you have additional support needed, you can easily create a support ticket, and that would be basically create an item or issue in ServiceNow, etc. And autonomous agents, which is today's topic, as you can see, it operates independently, and the trigger can be external events that can be, let's say, email received, new SQL row added, etc. So let's look at the use case today. So this is a basically large insurance company, and this company works with external vendors, carriers, to submit basically the accident details, and that accident details coming in Excel file, and Excel file has certain fields, and of course the file has different data. So every time there is a new file, there is Azure Data Factory ingests that information and takes the necessary data and then writes back to the SQL table. But what happens here? Sometimes there is a new field in the Excel file that it doesn't available or exist in our metadata table. So that gives a hard time to our ADF, Azure Data Factory, because that field doesn't exist. So to resolve that, so I basically build a Copilot Studio to identify new field, then reason over organization's metadata table to find the similar fields and create a new suggestions, save that in SharePoint list, and then after human review, it could be merged with the metadata SQL table. So here is the high level architecture. So as I said, there is a SQL. When Azure Data Factory identifies that, okay, this is a new field and it needs to be processed by agent, it writes back to the different SQL table, and anytime new row added, that basically triggers the Copilot to the agent. An agent has access to Azure AI Search, and in this case, Azure AI Search index data from our another SQL metadata table, and then passes that information to AI Builder prompt tool. AI Builder prompt tool, based on the payload we have as well as Azure AI Search results, now creates the new suggestion, because remember, this is a new field. It doesn't available in the metadata, but we know that there are similarities. For example, new field would be accident date, but the field in metadata table would be date of accident. So two different words, but as you can imagine, those are basically similar. They have the similar meaning. And after AI Builder prompt will generate suggestions, we use agent flow, and agent flow basically stores that information in a SharePoint list. And after that, human review happens. And this is just one part of the solution. There are other parts like writing back to the SQL metadata table, Azure Data Factory. In this session, I'm just covering the agent part, and actually there are different approaches here, and I'm showing one of them. So let's go ahead and look at our agent in Copilot Studio. So here is the Copilot Studio, and as you can see, so I'm using GPT-5 chat. So let's look at that. Although we have so many available models here, I'm specifically using chat, or I can choose GPT 4.1, because the rest of the models here are either in preview or experimental. For production, we shouldn't use any of this. And then I have high level instructions in production. This is actually very detailed, very robust, but for this demo, I just wanted to show how agent works with different tools. I have one knowledge, as I explained, this is basically our Azure AI Search. And I have one tool, which is prompt tool, to get the payload as well as get the Azure AI search results to create the new suggestion. And I have one trigger, and that trigger basically, whenever new row added in our SQL table, that stores that information in the SQL, and then triggers the agent. So let's go ahead and give this a try. So here I can just come here, and let's look at this and new schema request. So I did one yesterday. Let's click start testing. So here you can see the payload is coming and it's very fast. It started, it did the search and all the search results actually. Let me make this available so that we can see. Okay, here is the search results coming from Azure AI Search, and I'm also storing that for agents context window and passing them to AI Builder and also logging those prompts and then saving them in SharePoint list. And here is the final result. But if I go here, I have so many results here, but you can see this is the one. So I'm going to actually go ahead and delete all of these so that we can test one more time to get the results. Right, let me delete them. So I'm going to come back and test one more time. All right. So you can see the steps actually, all the steps are highlighted in our system instructions. So agent knows that what action comes after another action, basically arrange them in a way that it can achieve its goal. And if I come back here, let's refresh, and here is the last one just happened. So let's go ahead and actually start this building this from scratch. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to home screen, and from here click create agent. So this will take 1 or 2 minutes. So basically this is doing scaffolding, creating all the necessary agent components, and then from there we can go ahead and extend the agent capabilities. All right. So it's already created, and I can just give it a name. Let's say Power Platform Türkiye. Click Save. I will not add as so many details because that would certainly extend our timeline here. So I'm gonna try to be very quick. So when you create an agent, especially for your organization, the first thing we need to do, go to settings, and from here scroll down and toggle this off. So we don't want to use agent AI's own trained knowledge as well as information from web. So we're going to provide our own enterprise knowledge. So after saving this, go back to the agent. Now first thing we will do, we will need to add a trigger. So in this case I have a trigger. So if you don't see it here, don't worry, just click all. And in my case, I need a trigger from SQL. So I will choose when an item is created, click next. So I will just call this process new request. So I have already connection established, but first time if you are doing this, you will need to create a new connection. So the connection type, you can choose service principal, SQL Server authentication, etc. But in this case, I don't need it because I already have established in my environment. Click next. So from here, I will select my server, then select my database, then my table. And then from here, you can add other informations as well if you want, and then click create. And once we create that, we need to first test. So the agent building is an iterative journey. So when you add something, and immediately you should start immediately testing it, basically unit testing, to make sure that that specific component works before moving on to a new component. So I have Azure here while this is creating. So click close, and I will go ahead and open my database query editor. Let me actually toggle on some key information here. Okay, and then I will type my password. All right, I have two tables here. This is the one that is going to trigger the agent, and I will just add this information here. And I will change this to Power Platform Bootcamp Turkey. And run, and one row is added. So if I come back here, let's wait a little bit. The first time it takes a minute or so, and then it actually works faster. Hmm. Let's refresh actually our agent. Let's scroll down. To actually open our flow in Copilot Studio. So let's go ahead and look at the flow run history. Let me see if I connect it to the right server. Yes, request. Yeah, these are all working. All right, so here we go. It has already triggered. So let's start testing. And we can see the details. So here is the metadata. So it returns so many data here, as you can see. Sometimes you don't want all the columns from your SQL table, right? So in that case, you would need to modify the flow, and it's pretty straightforward actually. So you can come here, add a compose action. First, I want to actually get only uh, first row, because uh, if you want to make this agent process like array instead of object, array means that you are receiving multiple rows instead of one. So you need to change the flow here, add little bit, let's say, different logic, like apply to each. In this case, I just want to process one individual field each time it triggers. And here I'm just gonna write first, and then dynamic. It's gonna be body and value. So I'm saying that I just need first row, whatever the SQL sends back to us. Click add, and then I will add another compose. This time I will select the fields that I need. So what I will do in that case, let me take that information and paste it here. So I am saying, so these are the, take the carrier name. This is one of the fields I have. So take the carrier names from the compose action I have, similar thing, source column and line of business, and click update. And then I will come back here, delete this body, and add compose one. So in production, you should be renaming all of this to make it readable. Click Save Draft. And let's go ahead and test this. Oh, first time it failed. It didn't fail actually, but when you build agent, to make sure the agent gets the right information, you need to publish it first. So I'm gonna test this. It's gonna actually work, but this time it will show like error because we need to publish it. So, but we are interested in this part. If I come here, click outputs, and you can see this is a clean output that we need. Like previously, if you remember, we just got it all the fields we had, and we don't want that. So if I come back here, click publish our agent, so now this time I can just click edit, save draft, and publish it so that agent can also get the updated flow. That's very important. So now we can continue. The sync between the update that we made in agent flow and Copilot Studio may take 2-3 minutes, but we don't have to wait for that. I'm going to go ahead and create a topic, and from blank, so here I will say log row payload. So payload is basically whatever comes from our SQL trigger, and I can say here this topic stores payload coming from the agent trigger. Perfect. So we can save this, and what we actually need to create an input, and I'm gonna call this var row payload. I don't need to change anything here, and I have actually have a description. I'm just gonna copy and paste that. So here I am saying this is a JSON storing the following fields: career name, line of business, and source column. Perfect. Click save. And then we need to come back here to make this input, basically the variable that we created, global, so that we can access it across the agent. So to do that, I'm just going to come back here, variable management, set a variable. The value, of course, it's going to be the input we created, but sorry, set variable will be create a new variable. So let's make this first global, and I will rename it to exact same one, payload. Perfect. Oh, yeah, click save. Perfect. And now I can go ahead and add our first instruction. I will say follow the steps below. First, store the trigger payload in the, and if you look at here, we have PowerFX formula, but here I will say global, and look at our put here our global variable that I created. Click insert and save, and click test one more time. Perfect. As you can see, it's now getting cleaner payload, and here is our topic. So you can see it saved that information so that we can pass that information to different agent steps. The second one here, I want to add a knowledge, and knowledge here will be our Azure AI search. I will show this as well. I already have a connection, and I have one index here. I will go ahead and add this. So this is just added. So you can go ahead and rename this, give a really good name, give a really good description so that agent can understand when and why use this specific knowledge source. But let's go to our knowledge source here. Okay. So I will open our search, and then here I will go ahead and look at our index. So to create Azure AI Search, first you need to have Azure subscription. With an Azure subscription, you will need to create, I typically create resource group first, and then inside that resource group, I try to create a related resources first. For Azure AI Search, we need to create Azure AI Search resource, and we also need to create Azure OpenAI service, and to deploy different embedding models. In our case, I'm using actual text embedding 2. That's basically taking our SQL data information, which is text, and turn them into vectors. And vectors are basically the representation of those texts in a number format. So when the agent does the research, instead of looking at the text, it's looking at the numbers. And those numbers, whenever they are close, they are going to be the most relevant to our search query. So here I have a search query, and it's easy to create in Azure, because when you create in Azure portal, the portal creates you first 3 resources. It's going to be data source, and data source is basically a physical copy of your data, let's say in this case from SQL. Then indexer is the one that taking the SQL data and turns them into indexes. And indexes, this is the real data, actually vectors that agent will use. So I will go ahead, and you can see I have 216 documents, and documents here equals to each row in SQL, so they are unique. So if I go ahead and just do a quick search, you can see I had first time it by default it returns 50, but you can also increase them. So here, if I change this to human friendly, and I can go ahead and ask, what is accident date? Now it finds all these results and date on which the loss or accident occurred, and etc. So this is what we need. So I'm gonna pause this part and go back to our agent. So in this agent, I need to add now another instruction saying that execute a separate search for the, and I will use the same variable global dot using your knowledge base. So in this case, you can actually add the real name of the data source you have. Just click save. All right, let's give this a try. I'm gonna test again. Start testing. So this time, not only stores that information, but also does the search. So when you actually connect it, sometimes it may take a little bit time to sync the progress between Azure AI Search and Copilot Studio. Let's actually give it a try before we proceed. For example, what is accident date? So as you can see, the search works. So it was able to generate the response to our question. So let's proceed. And now I'm gonna actually create another topic. This time, log search results. Similar thing, this topic stores the Azure AI search results. So again, like for production, you should be actually providing really detailed information, but I'm good here. So I'll create another input, and this time var search results. Perfect. And I believe I have instruction for this. Let me get that. So let me put this information here. So this, oh no, actually this is the wrong one. Put, perfect. So I'm saying this variable stores the search results, including the relevant career name, line of business, destination columns as JSON storing. Let me remove the rest. Yeah, so you need to put like enough description so that during the extraction part, it can understand, okay, what information I need to extract and save. And click save. And similar way, we need to make this a global variable, right? So that we can access within different agent components. So set a variable, same thing. I'm gonna select this time search results, create a new variable, and let's rename, make this first global. Then same thing, var search results, and click save. So we need to now go back to our instructions and make sure that we provide that step as well. So I will say here, store the, this time again, PowerFX global, and I'm gonna use another variable just created. Variable, store the search results in this specific variable and invoke. So we want to invoke it only once. We don't want to, agent call it, multiple times during the run. So to do that, we need to put that instruction. Invoke only once. Perfect. Now let's test one more time to make sure that we get these system instructions. So the first time you create and refer them in the instructions, you might get this uh, errors, but it actually works. Let's see that in an action. Start testing. So first step, second step, and third step. So you can see the information is here. So perfect. Now what we need to add a tool, and that tool will be prompt. And prompt basically allows us to further customize our instructions and then have another AI model to generate the results. So I have instructions here. I'm going to select reasoning here because that requires some reasoning. So let me grab my um, tool instructions from the agent that I created. Perfect. So I can just call this. So I will have two instructions here. The one is from the payload, one variable. I'm going to call this payload, and I will actually add some test here so that we can test for JSON output. We need to have instructions here, and I will create another input. This time I will call this search results, and I will also provide example and close. Perfect. Now I'm gonna select this JSON because we want these in a clear format that we can save that in SharePoint list. So that's why we are going to use JSON. And now click test. Perfect. And here you go. You can see the uh, generated output, but you can add more. Like always for production, try you should be adding confidence score. And I forgot adding here, but at least I have justification explaining that, hey, why I decided to choose this. So then scroll down, it's very important. Let's save this. Add and configure. Oh, I forgot to name it. So let me actually take this. I'm gonna rename this, and I will also add some additional description. This is what our agent sees during the orchestration. Analyzes incoming schema requests alongside enterprise schema knowledge to recommend the most relevant destination column. So perfect. But now we need to pass those inputs that we saved here. So instead of dynamically fill, I will choose custom value. And here, if you notice, now I have that saved variables var global. So that's why we made it global, so that we can use custom value. And I will make this search results. Perfect. Let's double check here. Yeah, agent may use this tool at any time. Ask end user before running. No, we don't want. So for autonomous agents, this should be most of the time no, because otherwise it's going to be blocker for the agent. So we put the agent instructions, and this part we don't need. Click save. And let me go back. And now, oh, okay, it's giving me error. Get new schema suggestion. So I will take this and click save. So I have another AI prompt tool and has the same exact name. That's why it didn't work. So now I'm going to come back to instructions. As you can see, we are doing this iteratively. We are not writing all the instructions at once, but we are doing like we're building tool and then adding the tool instructions here. So use this time, if you look at suggestion, generate schema suggestion tool to generate a new schema mapping. Perfect. Click save. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and test again to make sure that this is like a system testing, like all these different tools work together in harmony. So this is very important. So perfect. So here we go, source details and recommended columns it created. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna create another topic here to um, log the prompt results. Perfect. This topic stores the generate schema suggestion tool results. So similar way, I'm gonna create another input. So I have this in my other topic, so I'm just gonna copy and paste from there. So this time I'm gonna call this var prompt results, and then description. I'm gonna clearly call out what fields. So you can see here, this is a JSON storing the following outputs: career name, source column, line of business, destination column, recommended line of business, justification, etc. Click save. and I will go ahead and make this global variable as well. So you see, like, instead of putting everything inside one topic, I'm following the modular approach. I'm just basically breaking down those requirements to different steps, to different topics, in some cases agent flows, so that one topic doesn't handle everything. So if there is something goes wrong, it's really hard to debug it. So always I would recommend follow the uh, a modular approach. So here I'm choosing the prompt results and create a new variable, and I will make this global and just call this var prompt results. Click save. Now I will come back here to our instructions, and this time I will say store the results in global, another variable, and I will also say, I will just copy this, paste it here, remove this, and add that global dot var prompt results. Click save, save. So you can see here, now we are getting there. We're very close now to save results in save SharePoint. Let's test this out. Click test. So as you can see, all the steps, how we arranged, it's basically following the same exact steps, and here are the results you can see. So what do we need now? We need to create a topic, and topic will help us basically create agent flow and save the results in SharePoint site. So by the way, for autonomous agents, you really don't need like goodbye, greeting, thank you. So I try to, toggle them off. You can do the same thing for the system topics. Anything that you think won't necessarily help your agent, just go ahead and toggle them off. And here I will create another one, log AI outputs in SharePoint. You know what, I'm gonna actually remove, because all the topics names, tool names needs to be clear, and so that agent can understand their purpose. So I'm just gonna say here, this topic stores the AI generated outputs. So I don't need to create inputs this time, because all the inputs I need actually stored in global. I just need to pass them to this topic to process it. So I will go ahead and add a tool, and the tool that I have, and we can build this together, but I can actually go ahead and explain this. So let me add a new agent flow, leave. This will take us to the new screen. When agent, that's weird. This should show up immediately. You know what? I'm gonna just pause here, come to flows, and create a new agent flow from here. Interesting. So let me come back here. Typically when you create, it gives you already an agent calls. Let's go to tools, add a tool, agent flow. Here we go. That's what we need. So what I need here, I will need to have one input, AI outputs. Perfect. Save draft. So we'll extend this further, but I will show how we can do this. So come to edit, new item, click save. So let's go to designer. Let's publish it. Again, we will come back to this flow step again, but yeah, I want to show how we can do this inside topic as well, because we need to run. So topics, let's go to log, now the other topic. Looks like I didn't save that topic. So let's create a new from scratch. Log AI outputs. This topic stores the AI outputs in a SharePoint list. And let's go ahead and add tool now. And so here is the flow that we just created. And then I can just pass to our prompt results here and click save. And let's open the flow this time. Let's go to designer and let's test this out manually. So let's look at the history. So it would be great if we come back to our agent again and take one of the, look at the activity, and let's take this and log AI outputs. So this is the one I need. All right. Now let's go back to our flow, create an item, designer, test manually. Let's put this information and run a flow. Done. So flow run, and I need to come back here and take this information and click edit. And what I will do, I will add parse JSON action because I don't want to just send entire payload. I need to have named and named fields. So look for parse JSON. And content, of course, this is gonna be our input, and schema, this is gonna be the schema. Done, and voila, you can see all these fields that we had. Now it's part of here. So from here, I will go ahead and add a SharePoint, create item, and I'm gonna select my SharePoint site, list, schema mapping, show all. All right, so here we go, and career name. This is gonna be parse JSON career, line of business, source column, destination column. So this is the benefit of parse JSON. We don't have to do this inside the agent. And recommended line of business and justification. Oh, I accidentally deleted it. So let me show all justification. Click see more. And then one thing we need to do, add output. item ID. Just select this and select SharePoint ID. Click Save, Publish. All right, now that we have this, let's come back at final. No, I'm just gonna actually copy this. Let's go to our agent. Click Save, Add. Use the topic that we created, log AI outputs topic, to save the results in SharePoint. So let's give this a try. All right. So let's see, we have right now only two, and let's see. Click allow. All right, it's saved successfully. Let's come back, and here we go. So it's just added. So this is how you can build autonomous AI agents that can be triggered by external events. In this case, it was SQL, and then use different tools in Copilot Studio to generate new suggestions or AI outputs, and use agent flows in Copilot Studio to save the results, let's say in SharePoint list. But you can also bring additional resources. Like in this case, we bought Azure AI Search knowledge source from Azure. So this is the beautiful part of the Copilot Studio. It gives us ability not only just stick with Power Platform, but we can always extend and go outside of Power Platform, such as Azure. Hope this session was helpful. And if you want to connect with me, you can just scan this. You can connect me on LinkedIn, and you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's where I post bi-weekly, create technical videos around Copilot Studio and so on. So thanks for watching this session, and if you have any questions, please put that in the